This is the plaintiff, Dennis Geed. He says he and the defendant dated for 4 years, and when they were together, he sold her an Apple computer. Now that they've broken up because she's a pathological liar, she won't pay him what she owes, and that's why he's suing her today for the $1,600 he's due. This is the defendant, Melanie Patton. She says she met the plaintiff because he's a hairdresser and he was doing her hair. The guy's crazy, has sued her 6 times, and this is just harassment because he's angry they're no longer together. As far as the computer goes, he gave it to her in lieu of paying her back for plane tickets she bought for a trip to England. She's accused of not computing.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated, come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Geed, you're suing your former girlfriend, Ms. Patton, for $1,600 that you say she owes you for an iMac computer she was supposed to pay you back for and didn't. What happened?
That's correct. It relates to another case. I had bought a vehicle in her name because she had better credit than me about 8 months prior to that. That vehicle was consequently seized from me in a court order process, a restraining order process that she took out on me in June of last year.
Okay, wait. Slow roll. You guys were dating for how long?
We started dating in March, April of 2010, and we were talking about getting married, and things were going pretty smoothly. And I was at the time a hair colorist. I have a salon in the town where she lives. I was doing her hair, saving her a lot of money. And I said, would you do me a favor and put a car in your name? Because she had better credit than me.
So who was driving the car?
I was driving the car. I was making the payments for the loan and the car. And basically, fast forward 8 months.
How long were you making payments on the loan?
Well, I'd made about 8 payments on the loan at that point, but she was getting a little jittery. She thought that I would, somehow screw her. She didn't believe that I would.
Were you dating at the time?
Yeah, we were dating. Yes, we were dating, and I was making
payments. So why
payments.
was she getting jittery?
Well, I mean, basically, I think one time I was a little late on the payment, so she said, I would prefer you start paying me personally rather than the bank, the lien holder, Wells Fargo. I said, no problem. So I started making checks payable to her, which I have proof of in the evidence I presented to you. Okay. I also paid her cash. She was my girlfriend. I didn't think she would screw me. Well, a couple of years later, she did exactly that.
How long did you date in total?
We were so on and off most of the time.
On and off
but
for how long?
I would say at least like 2 years, 2.5 years.
Okay.
It dragged on for another year.
You have a lawsuit in front of me for an iMac computer, but so far you've talked about a car.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because she ended up keeping the car?
It does relate to that because she seized my car. She promised to pay me for the computer.
How did she get the keys to the car that she doesn't drive?
She took out a court order, a restraining order against me.
What was
I took out one against her.
Hold on one second. I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
What was the cause for the restraining order?
He was stalking me. He had put a tracking device on my car.
How did you know he had put a tracking device on?
Well, he actually did it twice. He put a tracking device initially in a car that I was driving for a friend. I had switched cars one day because she's a young kid, so there were car seats, and so we switched for the day while I was watching her kids. So she found an old iPhone taped up to her grill of her car.
Get out of here.
So she's actually the one that found it, and then he had followed the car to her house, and he had tried to get in her backyard, and her neighbor had...
Wait, how does she know that? She saw him?
Her neighbor confronted him and described him, and he later admitted to it.
Did you do that?
I actually did that because I knew she was going to seize my car, and I wanted...
Is that the car we're talking about?
No.
It's a different car that he did that with?
He did it to my friend's car and to then...
Did you strap to her friend's car? Because that's why you would be at the friend's house.
I'd like to correct, I mean, this is obviously...
Yes or no? Did you strap an iPhone to her friend's car?
I went to the police.
Why did you do that?
Because I was looking for my car.
But you strapped it onto, it sounds like you were looking for her because you're not going to find your car inside of another car. The only thing that was inside of the other car is that lady.
I have talked to detectives. I have written a statement explaining everything.
Do you hear my question, though?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
No charges were brought against me.
But you don't think it's a little demented?
At the time...
He did it to a second car?
Yes. Then 4 months later, he put a tracking device on my car.
A regular tracking device or also an iPhone?
It was a different sort of tracking device that...
How do you know he did that?
He admitted to that as well.
What was the reason for the breakup?
The jealousy and the paranoia and the accusations and.
When did you guys break up? What month and year?
I would say the final break was at the beginning of 2013.
That long ago?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the things you are describing occurred for how many months after that?
That was in the tracking device in my friend's car was June of 2014, which at that point he had possession of this car he's talking about. So
a year later, a year after your breakup?
A year later.
If at the time of the first tracking device he had possession of the car in question,
right,
then how did you get possession of it? Just out of
so
curiosity.
After the tracking device in my friend's car, I filed for a restraining order, and there's a section saying if there's any property in dispute. So it was in dispute, and at that point he hadn't paid in 3 or 4 months.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
And so that was, and if he paid the monthly payments.
Tell me about the
that was
IMAC,
fine.
which is do you have several lawsuits pending against her?
I have a pending lawsuit 2 weeks almost to the day from now, where I'm suing
the
her
car.
for over $10,000.
For the car,
Yep.
right?
I have admitted everything to
For the
police.
car?
For
Okay,
the car.
what kind of car is
For
it?
the car, it's a BMW convertible that she lied to the detectives. She lied to the court, the restraining order court. She lied to me and she lied to the DMV. It's all right there in front of you, and you'll see that
Well, that's
this
not my
woman
case.
is a
This is just background
sociopathic
for my case.
liar.
Can we talk about the
Yes.
IMAC?
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened?
She promised to pay me for the computer.
When did you give her when did you?
I gave her the computer because she was starting work. Her husband was forcing her to go back to work because he was divorcing her, because he also says she's a sociopathic liar. He couldn't deal with her. So
Have you called the ex-husband?
Oh, I've spoken to him for hours and hours and hours. We're friends. He
I bet
still
you
hates
have.
her. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
All right,
it's
tell
not
me-
just her husband, it's her friends. This woman is a sociopathic liar.
Okay. Now that that's off
So,
your chest,
yeah,
can
it
you
is off my
please
chest.
answer what I am
Yes.
asking you? How did it come about that you handed over a computer? Tell me the circumstances
Well, we were
surrounding
dating. It was right at this time. My brother had broken his neck in a construction accident. He had a computer because my mom thought it would be a good idea for him to have something to do. He didn't like it. I saw it. I said, "Can I pay you $100 a month?" He said, "Sure, take it." So that's exactly what I did. It was around Valentine's Day. I gave it to her, but her husband was making $300,000 a year. I'm not in a position to afford to give
Well,
her
then why did you give it to her as a Valentine's?
Well, I didn't give it to her Valentine's. It
It's just coincidental you gave it to her on
happened to be
Valentine's?
around Valentine's Day. I said, "You can use this, but I can't afford to give it to you." And she said, "Well, I'll pay you for it after you pay me for the car." Because as I said, she was getting a little jittery.
After
'cause
you
I'd
pay
been-
me for the car.
After you pay the car off.
Oh, after you pay the
which
car
I
off.
paid the car off this time last year in full, over $18,000.
Okay.
But
When did you supposedly finish paying off the car?
I paid off the car in June of last year.
Okay. She was supposed to pay you for the computer after you paid off the car.
Exactly.
So the computer went to her what month and year?
February of 2012.
Okay. Well,
And I bought the car
I
in
can't help
August of
but notice that it's
2011.
3.5 years later. So in 2014, what did you do to get the money for the iMac?
I asked her.
Had you guys broken up at this point?
Yeah, I broke up with her in June of last year.
Why did you break up with her?
Because she was such a liar, and I had a friend who was a private investigator, so I can get her lie detected for $150. I asked her if she would take a lie detector test. She said, "Sure, I have no problem with that."
Did you really say, "Sure, I have no problem with that"?
No.
I've been married to my husband for 23
Yeah.
years. If he asked me to take a
Yeah.
lie detector test, he'd look
it's
pretty
sad.
funny getting up off the floor.
It's very sad.
Are you serious?
It's very
you asked
sad.
him, but this is not normal. This is dysfunctional. If you don't trust her, get
No,
rid
I
of her.
don't. I
That's
did.
all I
I
know.
did.
But wait, listen to me. By any stretch of anyone's imagination, if you are in a relationship where you feel the need for a lie detector,
I know, it's sad.
no, the subject, lie detector, should
I
not
know.
come up in the
I know.
relationship. If that is
I
going
know.
through your noggin, it is time to
I
move
know.
on.
Trust me, I know.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Why do you
Well,
think
you're
I
the
did
guy
it?
strapping iPhones to the car to
No.
find out where she is,
You
and
don't- you have
having
to-
your private investigator
You
friends.
have to have dealt with this woman. And it's not just me, it's her ex-husband, it's her friends. She's crazy and a liar, and I...
Yeah, but the rest of us,
I know.
listen,
Like,
the
trust
rest
me.
of us sane people, if we're dating her, we say,
No.
peace out, and
I
we
know.
move on.
I know.
So we're not talking
I did.
about how crazy and what a pathological liar she is. We're talking about your reaction to
Yeah,
it,
I know.
which is...
Yeah, no, trust me. I wanted to move on, but the car was
Except for that you filed, how many lawsuits against her now?
2.
6 this last year.
6? You
No,
filed 6 lawsuits in the last year?
Restraining order processes. She constantly harasses me.
Did you file some of those?
No.
When you say 6 lawsuits, you mean he filed 6 lawsuits against...
He's made 4 attempts to get a restraining order against me, saying that I've threatened to kill him and his children.
And the judges keep denying him?
What happens is I show up, and then right before it's time to go before the judge, he skedaddles. And so they throw it out.
So he's just doing that to make you show up?
He's doing it so he can, serve me and to follow me and to make me show up in court. And I have a lot of emails basically where he says that.
Let me see the email.
He says, I am going to just keep doing this to torture you. Here's just a sampling. So, and then there's the other pending small claims court with the car.
If you want an enemy, you've got one. My only recourse is to try my hardest to make you suffer the financial consequences of what you put me through last year. This is far from over.
Every time I've tried to get away from this woman, she comes back into my life.
You and your family would have been spared this ugliness that will go on now for a very long time until you're back in retail. What does that mean?
She was working retail before she was forced back into work by her husband, and I'm beyond frustrated that she took my car.
Yeah, but what do you mean when you said until you're back in retail?
What he means is that he's made false allegations to the state board for my professional license.
Because you're doing what?
I work in special education.
Until you're back in retail, I won't quit. You sound nuts. I mean, pure and simple.
This woman has definitely made me very angry. I wanted to just move on with my life.
Yeah, but how do you feel when you hear me saying this stuff? You're not even slightly embarrassed.
Keep my car. She took my car, kept all the money.
So sue the lady, get your car back. But
That's
this
what
stuff
I'm doing.
is no. This is like nuts. I asked you to be honest or let me go. You did neither. My life was irrelevant to you, just as your time, your career, your family, your life, and friends mean nothing to me. Legally, I have the right to tie you in court with, I bet you'd like to, with service in front of whomever. Next time, it'll be where you work. Subpoenas and court appearances, and that's exactly what I'll do. Then, with some luck, you'll have to pay back every penny you stole from me. Then it might end. And it might end.
So when I would want to serve
Well,
her,
here's
I would
what I don't
call her and
understand.
ask her.
If I were in your shoes, you have children? Mm-hmm. If I were in your shoes, where's the car now, by the way?
It's sold.
If I were in your shoes, I would want the car issue over with in my life.
It was over a year ago when I sold, or
It'll be over in 2 weeks.
when I sold it. Yeah, I sold it.
What do you mean it was over a year ago when you sold it?
Well, I thought it was over a year ago.
Why would it be over when you sold it? Did you give him the money?
No.
Right. So why would it be over? You know what I'm saying? That's not my case. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to get rid of this bad juju.
Well, I'm
no.
I'm trying.
No. You're not trying hard enough.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, who takes advantage of who more, men or women?
Men.
Why?
I think that, well, it depends whether you're talking financially or otherwise.
Just generally, what do you
Generally,
think?
I think men. I think that,
Because?
I don't know, I think that they just, take advantage of women.
What do you think?
I actually honestly think women.
What do you say?
Because, if we want something, we just have to kind of, bat our eyes. We know their weaknesses, basically, and we use it
You know their weaknesses and you use it.
to our advantage.
By the way, can Rhoda come in here for a second? I just want to tell you something. She just mentioned to me that there's a clown in the audience. Like I'm this freaking stupid that I don't notice there's a clown in the audience. Thanks for the help. I really appreciate that. Going inside the courtroom.
You need to get rid of that man. And if the thing that's going to get rid of it is some, agreement on the car, that's the kind of thing that you should. I'm just telling, I'm just throwing that out there because he's crazy. And I wouldn't want to be looking around my shoulder all the time. But that doesn't matter. If you feel, hey, I repossessed the car legitimately, he wasn't making payments, he was 4 months behind, you have a great legal case, you fight it in court, in 2 weeks, you do whatever you're going to do. I'm giving you advice as though you were my daughter. If it were my daughter, I would tell her life is too short and you got to get the crazy guy off your back. I don't know why you keep nodding and bobbleheading.
Give me my $10,000 and I'll be gone.
I have no idea why you're bobbleheading when I'm insulting you like this. But, that you understand what I'm saying? It's just, but anyway, let us talk about the iMac. How did you come into possession of this iMac that 3.5 years later he decides that you need to pay him for?
Okay, so in November of 2011, we decided to go to England together, and he didn't have a credit card, so I charged the plane tickets on my credit card, and we went to England in April of 2012. And he said, just charge it and I'll pay you back. Well, of course, he never had money, so he eventually said, okay, will you just take the computer in exchange for the plane ticket? And I said, fine, fine. At the time, it didn't really matter. And at the time, I wasn't working, so I didn't need a computer. It was just to be nice and to, you know, whatever. And then 3.5 years later, I get this.
Has the subject of the computer come up?
Never.
When did it first come up?
I think he started sending me emails about a month ago saying, if you don't give me $10,000, I'm going to say that you owe me money for the laptop.
Wait, do you have that email?
Oh, so he wants me to drop the restraining order, and in exchange, he won't sue me.
You need to know I'm in love with someone else, and all I want from you is to either say sorry, retract your restraint, and pay me the money that never belonged to you. If you do neither, I'll sue you separately for the laptop, and it'll just continue. I don't give a about you. Yeah. All right. As to the laptop, here's what I got. I have a laptop handed over 3.5 years ago. I have absolutely no payments from her, which would indicate that she wasn't supposed to pay you. And no lawsuit from you, which would indicate that she wasn't supposed to pay you. I have you telling me that you gave it to her on Valentine's Day. I have you telling me, no, Judge, it's not even a Valentine's Day gift. It's actually remuneration for tickets to England.
Tickets to England weren't $1,500, Your
How
Honor.
much were they?
About $600.
Were you supposed to pay her back?
She took that money from the car that she sold and
Dude,
kept
you
all
have
the
no
money.
case. On this laptop, you have no case. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Why do you keep saying that she needs to pay me my money? Why is that all you say?
That's what this is all about. It all relates to the $10,000 she owes me. That's a lot of money, and she stole my car and kept the money, and I'm not angry.
But
I'm
here, stand right here. Look, you seem a little nuts over the whole thing.
I am. $10,000 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it was my car. It was my car. I was teaching my son how to drive. She took my car, my only car. I make a living.
Why'd you start dating her in the first place? Why?
She was my client. I broke my golden rule: don't date my clients. And I dated my client.
Why
It
did
was
you?
bad.
Why?
Well, because I was
Why?
attracted to her. She had gone through a divorce. I'd gone through a divorce. We just had a glass of wine. It went from there. But I should never have bought the car. The car was my car. I make a living
you
going
just
to
give it
people's
up?
homes. No, in 2 weeks, when I find out whether she has to pay me the $10,000,
Right.
then I'll give it up.
What do you have to add?
I'm just happy that it's done with, and I just want him to move on with his life.
Why does he keep suing you if you did nothing wrong?
Because he's obsessed, and he just wants these opportunities to stalk me and to justify his actions. And
He's obsessed with what?
with torturing me, with following me, and obviously with this car. He's obsessed about
Think
it.
you've seen the end of him?
No.
Harvey?
Okay, so the guy says it's just about money. It is not about money. You can just read it all over. It is about hurt feelings. Now we'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.